How's your day going?
It's going swimmingly. What about you?
What have you been doing?
I have been doing a lot of work, actually. Today I did some Training Peak things, got a couple of clients done, got all the feedback done. Then I did a week's worth of videos for school, which is nice. Today I did pickleball.
Oh, fun. I want to learn how to play pickleball.
Just like tennis.
Yeah, everybody says it's a blast.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Watch my videos and you can learn.
Oh, okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
So where's your brother?
He is joining ...
Okay.
in the waiting room. Okay, I want to try something really quick. Oh, don't do that. I tried to enable this. Oh, I think Daniel is in.
All right, I don't know why I did that thing again, Tyler.
Whoa, Daniel. You look like a mountain man.
Arg. I don't know what a mountain man sounds like. I can do a bit of a Scottish accent, but that's about it.
Are those your blue glasses?
They are.
Oh, good.
I really like them.
Oh, good.
But yes, Omo was just yelling at me to cut my beard.
Yeah, it looks pretty raggedy.
It's actually pretty well kept.
So what were you doing yesterday? You blew us off for a better offer?
Anna came over.
Ah, was that
when
nice?
I came over, like the thing is this takes like the normal time is this happens at 8 o'clock.
I know.
And to shift it to like if we were to shift it to like 10 a.m., but that also takes up all of your mornings, which I know you guys can't do.
Well, actually, we don't have to do it at 2 o'clock. I mean, we could do it earlier.
I mean, I don't know what Tyler's schedule looks like.
Well, we could ask him. Where did he go?
Looks like he's answering emails or text messages.
I'm trying to figure out, because this is going to record in speaker view. So whoever's speaking, the recording goes to that person, right? You can only see that box. So I'm trying to figure out, there is a way to do it, to record the Zoom gallery view. But I think it's a settings thing, and we'll do it next time.
Okay.
What if you just click gallery view?
We're on gallery view right now.
I mean, you have to change it individually. Like I changed it on mine.
Yeah, I'm in gallery view.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
But it just records in speaker view.
Yeah.
Oh, well, whatever.
Anyways, Mom.
So how was Memories of Oma?
Memories of Oma were great today. We ended off at 2000.
Wow.
We're going to start at 2001. Everyone's homework is to remember things from 2001.
Okay.
What do you remember from 2001, Mom?
Me?
Yeah.
Tyler, I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah, no, I'm still like in 1964.
Well, I'm trying to remember for our call next time. So I'm using
okay.
right here with Mom.
Quit cheating off of Mom, Tyler.
Okay, so how old were you guys in 2001?
10. 11.
You were 10. You were 11. So, okay, so I think you guys were into roller hockey, maybe?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. And I think, were Oma and Opa, were they like still traveling then?
I think so.
Yeah, so I think they were actually still going into California or whatever to visit their army friends.
I got mine, Daniel.
Okay.
What do you remember about 2001, Daniel?
Nothing. I'm sure there's something. What do I remember about the year 2001? I don't know. I was 9. I do remember what year it was until I was like 15.
I do remember the year 2000. That's Y2K.
Yeah.
I remember you were working crazy hours.
Oh, I remember. Okay, so I think Opa, I was trying to convince Opa to go back to work as a programmer because he could have made a ton of money because there were tons of COBOL programs out there that needed to be fixed. Everybody poo-poos it, but it was a huge effort. But he didn't want to do it. He was happy in the basement doing whatever he did down there.
Yeah, I would have been too.
Yeah. I mean, I can't really blame him for that one.
All right, Mom. So what year are we in?
Okay. Oh, that's better. Now I can see both of you. I think I'm going to be around 8 or 10. So 1964 to 1966.
Okay, so before you keep going, what were the 60s like?
Okay, well,
in a small town in Idaho.
The 60s, because I was 3 in 1960. So I was still pretty young. I mean, I didn't do the 60s like you're thinking. I was not that old yet. My cousin, however, did. She had a very good time.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. I did, and being, growing up in Montpelier, I remember watching the riots and all that stuff on television on one of the 3 channels that we got. But it didn't affect us anywhere. And the big thing probably was Vietnam.
Were the riots for Vietnam?
No, was it
against?
What was it?
They were against. Nobody wanted to be in Vietnam. It was this huge controversial war. And I remember my next door neighbor's, she was a friend of mine that lived next door. Her brother went to Vietnam and came back totally screwed up. I mean, he never was the same again. Mainly because there was lots and lots of drugs, not just marijuana, but crazy drugs.
Oh, and not to mention, Agent Orange really messing with people's heads as well.
I don't think it was Agent Orange, wasn't it? Was that napalm or something?
Yeah, no, there was napalm there, and Agent Orange is napalm, I think, isn't it?
I don't know.
So yeah, but like all that, the fumes from that is really dangerous, and then not to mention, essentially putting a bunch of untrained 18-year-olds together with random strangers with like 2 weeks of boot camp, and then throwing them in the jungles of Vietnam and saying, "Hey, fight people."
It will be interesting to see what Oma will. Did you ask her?
She didn't really dive into it a whole lot because he was over there.
Opa? He wasn't in Vietnam.
What war was he in?
Probably Korean War.
Korea.
He was the same war as my dad was, my stepdad.
He was a radio guy.
That's right. Oh yeah, how could we forget those millions of stories?
Well, I wrote them down because he would tell them to me in the hospital.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
I remember going there and he would tell me like all kinds of stuff that I had never heard before. So cool.
Yep. Well, and so this means that, Tyler, you're officially the family historian.
Well, that's good. Just for this generation, though. That's as far as I go. It's your job to reach out into the past.
Well, but you've already done that with Oma and Opa.
Well, kinda.
Oh, you mean the living people?
I'm the living people. You guys are in charge of the past people.
Not this generation. Okay.
So we're in what, 1964, 1965?
I'm between 8 and 10, I think.
Okay.
Because I think you wanted to start at 6, and I don't really remember anything. I told you my only 6-year-old memory that I can think of is that was the first day of school. I told you that last time.
Mud, yeah.
Mud, yeah. Yeah, so let's see. Okay, so when I was, 10 or 8 or whatever, we used to go up in the mountains to all the old homesteads that were abandoned and everything. My dad called it junking. And so we would get in our Jeep, which was, it didn't have doors or a top or anything, right? Nobody wore seatbelts, and you held on for dear life, and you went up in the canyon, and we would go to all these homestead sites, mostly where there's a lot of silver mines up there. And we would just go through all these abandoned houses and we would find all kinds of cool things. Like my mother collected purple glass. Did I tell you the purple glass story?
No.
Okay. So back in the day, everything was made out of glass. Like doorknobs were made out of glass, and they had oil lamps and everything. But it was a different kind of glass, and it had, I don't know what was inside the glass, but whatever it was, if you put it outside in the sunlight, it would turn this beautiful shade of purple. And I do have one thing that I got from her.
That's fun. Turn purple.
So yeah, so she had, can you see this?
Yeah.
See how it's purple? I don't know if you can.
Yeah, I can see like a purplish hue.
Yeah. So let's see. Like a purple hue. Yeah. Yep. So, but this isn't one of her better pieces. I'll tell you the reason why later. But anyway, so we would go junking and we would find all kinds of cool things. Sometimes people would just leave and there would still be like, dishes in the cupboard, and they just gave up and went wherever they went. But we found all kinds of glass. We would go through the house and take off all the doorknobs. And she would take them home and whatever we could find. She had a beautiful oil lamp that was about this tall, a bunch of doorknobs, plates, even like bowls and things like that. And then this is a little, I think it was a cream jar, like face cream or something.
Okay.
But the only reason why I have this is my cousin, who we'll get to later. I don't know why he was doing it, but he was cleaning out our ranch house, and he found it, and he knew it was Mom's, so he sent it to me. But anyway, so we would take these things home, and my mother would wire them to our back fence. And they would just stay out there for years. And when it snowed, the sun would reflect off the snow, and it would literally turn the things purple. And the longer they stayed out there, the purpler they got. So
was the glass
anyway, so we
was it fragile?
No, I mean, you can't really tell. It's not good. It's not high quality. It's not crystal. It's just it's very thick. It's got bubbles in it, like it's not high quality glass, and they don't make it anymore. It must have, Daniel, what chemical would be in glass that would turn it a different color?
I mean, the only thing I can think of would be lead glass.
Okay, maybe that's what it is.
Be careful with that, Mom.
No. Lead glass it isn't dangerous.
Yeah, okay, so Google that, Daniel, find out what is in glass to make it turn purple. But anyway, so she had tons. Our backyard fence looked, I know it wasn't even our fence, it was our neighbor's fence.
Sure, they loved.
Yeah, well, whatever. They didn't seem to care. But anyway, so we would do that a lot. And she was very proud of her purple glass. So the other thing that I remember about around when I was 10, I think, I was at my Aunt Tony's house, who lived in St. Charles, and I was playing with my cousin Marcia, who was
part of the Brady Bunch.
She was 3 or 4 years older than I was. And in my Aunt Tony's backyard, she had a huge garden, and then she had these monstrous swings, and they the seat was made out of wood, and then we didn't have chains. It was like rubber. It was little like big round rubber things that you would hold on to. And she was pushing me, and the goal was to go higher than the house, to swing higher than the roof. So she's pushing, and I'm trying to get as high as I can. And what you really wanted to do is go so high up that the rubber would,
you become weightless.
Well, no, it would be like you'd be so high that you would be higher than the rubber could hold you. So then gravity would yank you down. Anyway, so I came down, and we were going to go for one big more swing, and she pushed me. And instead of pushing me on the swing seat, she pushed me on my back, and I flew out of the swing. Went over the lilac bush. That's how high I was. And landed on my arm and broke my elbow. Yeah, so that wasn't fun. And we knew we were going to get in trouble, so we weren't going to say anything, you know. And I didn't know my arm was broken. I thought it was a little odd that I couldn't move it. But I thought I was being slick, and I made it into like what I thought they were going to put it in a cast, you know. So it was like at a right angle. And we walked in and we told my Aunt Tony what had happened, and she's like calling my mom, and my mom comes, and they decide that I need to go to well, there wasn't an emergency room, it was just the hospital, right? So we drove into town, and we go to the hospital, and the hospital was maybe had like 3 beds in there, right? There wasn't an emergency room. You just walked into the lobby, and they took you back, and the doctor said, I'm going to x-ray your arm. I'm like, okay, you know, and so I'm holding it like this, and he takes my arm and he goes like this. And oh my God, I thought I was going to lose my mind. My mother came running into the room because I was screaming. Yeah, I don't know why he did that. I guess
you didn't need an x-ray after that.
What?
You didn't need an x-ray after that.
Well, I got my x-ray. Yes, it was broken. So then you know what they did? They put my arm like this again. Yeah, it was so traumatic.
Oh my God.
Oh no, it was terrible. And so I had a cast on, and it wasn't very much fun because you couldn't swim, you couldn't do anything. And
so this was during summer.
It was towards late summer. So anyway, because I remember going to school and I still had the cast on. But I was petrified to get the cast off because I'd heard these horror stories that they used a saw. They didn't tell me that it stopped. You know, I was thinking a circular saw. So I was convinced my arm was going to get sawed off. Anyway, so I did finally get my cast off, and my arm is like all shriveled, and it was disgusting. And yes, that wasn't very much fun. But
yeah, I remember.
So that's how I got my broken arm.
It was the same kind of thing. Like I didn't realize, like the guy comes out, it's so scary. I was a grown up, and they come out with a circular saw. Like, all right, we're gonna cut this off, and the guy's like super excited, and I'm like, okay, this is bad.
Yes. Oh, yeah, it's scary, right?
What, Dan?
What?
When did you have a cast?
I broke my arm, I think, in 2015.
Yeah, your wrist, right? You broke your wrist when you got hit on your bike, or you fell off your bike, or something happened.
Off my bike. Yeah, the guy comes in with his circular saw, and he turns it on and touches his hand that has a glove on it, like a plastic glove, and it doesn't even cut the plastic glove. He's like, yeah, see, it's not gonna do anything. But the way he presented it, like, I hope you do this different for kids, because I'm still a little freaked out.
Well, see, I didn't get the benefit of that. You know, they just said, we're going to cut your cast off now. And they didn't explain that it couldn't cut my arm, but I was so afraid. But anyway, so then my next memory, I want to say probably I was 10. So I remember I told you my dad was a complicated person.
Yep.
And he was in the Korean War. And I don't know if whatever happened to him in the war, you know, made him even more complicated. But he was an orphan. The only thing I remember about him telling me about the war is that he was cold all the time. So I guess in Korea, did you ever watch MASH? You know, you've watched those old TV shows.
Casey loves MASH.
Right, but so they're always cold, remember? And, you know, they're always freezing in their tents, and they're having fires and everything. But he wasn't in a tent. He was, you know, an infantry guy. He was out there with a sleeping bag and a wool blanket. Anyway, he always had a wool blanket in the Jeep because he would be freezing all the time. And he would sometimes wrap it around his shoulders.
Well,
but anyway.
Doors or tops, you know, you got to put something on.
Yeah. But so one day, anyway, he had this really close friend, and they were hunting deer up in the mountains in the Jeep. And they got stuck in a snowstorm. A surprise storm came up, and they were stuck. And so they were trying to get home. And they'd been drinking. And my dad's friend fell out of the Jeep because I told you it didn't have doors, right? So he fell out of the Jeep, and my dad ran over him and killed him. So we put him in the Jeep, and he took him back to town. And I don't know if he took him home to his wife, or I don't know if he took him to the police station. But anyway, the family was not happy about what had happened, and so they sued us. And I remember not understanding, you know, why I couldn't play with their kids anymore, because we were really close friends. But But I just remember that they sued us, and I don't know what happened in the end, because I just know that, all of a sudden we didn't have any money, so he probably had to pay the family. But after that, he was never the same after that. So, I mean, and back where I grew up, there was no such thing as a psychiatrist or a therapy session or a counselor. None of that. You could go to the bishop, but my family wasn't that religious, so he wasn't going to the bishop. So what he did was he self-medicated himself with beer, and and pretty much after that, he was a really heavy drinker after that. He used to say, and he'd get up in the morning and say, open a can of beer and say, there's a pork chop in every can.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Heartbreaking.
So, yeah. So that was not a good memory, but it kind of sets the stage about what happened with my dad and I after that. I mean, we still did things, but after, I mean, can you imagine running over your best friend, and then putting him in a Jeep?
Yeah.
And taking him back to his family? Yeah, so he was never the same. So I have a couple other pictures I want to show you that I found. Okay, so what I told you, my parents had a million jobs. One of the jobs my mother had was she was a switchboard operator. This isn't her, but this is what it looked like. And when people would call and they'd plug in the little thing and say, I think our extension was 629 or something. And they'd say, 629, what can I help you with? And the person on the other end would say, I want to talk to Ida Welling. And she'd like, oh, 226. And she'd plug that in. And then that's how you talked on the phone back in the day.
It's amazing.
Isn't that funny? And all these little things right here, those are plugs. Like, those are people's phones.
So Tyler, what these look like? Like the plugs that go into a stereo, like not like a 3mm jack, like ones that go from a to like an amp, like the large ones. They look like that, and you
kind of like a cigarette lighter thing, Anyway, so that's just an aside, but I thought that was funny.
Did you ever get to go to work with her?
No, I didn't. She didn't work there very long. She always had a million jobs. She was doing that when I was in school. When my sister and I were in school, she would do that. She didn't do it very long, probably because I think that's when I don't know when they did away with operators. Probably about that time, actually, because up until that time, everybody had a party line. So that was the other thing, right?
Party line.
A party line. A party line is where you share a phone line with another family. And sometimes 10 or 15 families can be on the same line. So if you want to call somebody and you pick up the phone and you can hear people talking, it's not your turn to use the phone, right? So if you have an emergency, you could say, Ethel, I need to talk to Maureen or something. And if Ethel was nice, she'd say, okay, I'll get off the phone. But I had a great aunt. Her name was Patience. I don't know why they named her Patience, because she was the meanest. She was as mean as a snake. And she would not get off the party line, no matter what. And we would say, Miss Patience or Aunt Patience, I need to call my mom. And she's like, nope, I'm talking to Vera or something. Anyway, she would stay on the party line forever.
Did your mom ever get upset with her?
Yes, everybody hated her. She's just an evil woman. But anyway, so you could wait, 15, 20 minutes before they finished their conversation before you could use the phone. And to annoy them, what you do, you pick up the phone and you could hear, you wouldn't be a dial tone, you could hear like talking or breathing. You just hang it up and put it down, pick it up and put it down, and it would go click, 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 click.
Yeah. Kind of like on the landline when you would pick up, go off, pick up, go off.
Yeah, pretty much that was it.
I remember those games.
Huh?
I would never notice.
I remember those games.
I would never notice, ever.
You or Dad would be on the landline phone, and we would just turn the phone on and off, on and off, on and off.
Now I know why that infuriated you so much, though, Mom.
Yeah.
Tyler, get off the phone.
So we talked about Bear Lake last time, but that was a big part of my life, and it was a big part of everybody's life. And even if you live there today, it's still a big part of your life. So I had cousins that lived in Utah in a little town called Layton.
In what?
Layton. Layton. It's a little town in Utah. And his name was Clark, and his wife's name was Donna. They had, well, in the beginning they had 3 kids, but then they ended up with 5 kids. But anyway, so he worked during the day, and both he and his wife worked, but he decided he was going to build a boat. So we would go, every weekend we'd go to their house, and so my dad and mom could help them build this boat. He made it out of fiberglass. It wasn't very big, but we called it High Hopes. We christened it High Hopes. And we took it to the lake, and that's the boat that I learned how to water ski on and to drive a boat. But yeah, so High Hopes was tiny. You could probably, well, there was the driver and the passenger, and then maybe you could fit 3 people in the back, but it was a great ski boat. It had a really, really powerful motor. But my dad was a really good skier too. He could ski with 1 ski. I was never very good at that, but yeah. But it was so much fun behind that boat to learn how to ski, because what you need is a fast boat.
Well, if it's made out of all fiberglass, so yeah.
Well, and at the time, I mean, it was like a screaming boat. It was like so much fun. People would come over and take pictures of it and everything else. But we would always be like in the summer, they would come down and we would spend weeks at the lake in their trailer. They had a camper. And if the weather was nice and the moon was out, my dad would come and get me, and he called it following the moon, but we would go on these midnight boat rides, and we'd go all the way across the lake just following the moon. It was beautiful.
How long were the boat rides? How long would that take?
Probably an hour or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it would be in the middle of the night, you know. And my dad would tell all these crazy stories. Like one day he and his friend I think they were fishing. Anyway, so they looked over and they saw this huge moose, and it was swimming across the lake. And they were like, wow, I can't believe this moose. So they drove up to it. And I don't know if this is true or not, but they just happened to have paint in their boat. Oh, don't ask me why you would do that. But they painted the antlers of the moose blue on the top.
Mean.
I think it's an urban legend. But anyway, so I was always on the lookout for moose.
Well, there's so many videos of them swimming like miles and miles.
Oh yeah. No, there's no doubt in my mind that the moose was swimming across the lake.
So on a related note to the moose, Sweden every year has a moose, like they do, like the moose migrate in Sweden, and one of the most watched like network shows in Sweden is wildlife cameras of the moose migration.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. There is no one talking. It's just some people in the woods filming the moose migrate. And there's one where they cross, like, it looks like a massive river, and these moose just like right across. Like it looks like they don't even move with the current very much. They just like, yep, got it.
They're massive.
Well, we would see that all the time with the elk too, because we had deer, not like the little baby deer you guys have in Virginia, but our deer, it was probably twice the size of a deer here, and an elk is even bigger, and then a moose is even bigger than that.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of people not pictures of videos of people driving in Alaska, and they have a moose like trotting on the highway, like with the cars, and the moose are bigger than the cars.
Yes, they're huge. They're majestic creatures.
Like the antlers alone are bigger than the car. Those things are enormous.
So one of my favorite memories about Dad, and this is out of order, but I'll tell you just because it's relevant. We were in Yellowstone National Park, and we're driving along with my cousin, and we're chatting, and all of a sudden we see this moose in this field, and we pull over to look at it. That's what you do, right? There's animals everywhere. Before I know it, Dad is out of the car. He's running down to the moose. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? This moose can kill you. Oh, he needs to get a picture. He's like, and I was like, what? So my cousin and I are sitting in the car. We're not going to get out with the moose, right? And she looks at me, she turns to me, she's like, where did you find this moose?
This is a city boy.
So apparently, I also have another tack on to this. I have a friend of mine was telling a story about where another friend of theirs got chased by a moose. And they were in the woods. And the way you get away from a moose, Tyler, if you're ever in this situation,
climb a tree.
No, you run around a tree, because moose are really good at running in a straight line. They're not very good at turning.
Oh, really?
So they don't get very fast as they turn.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That'd be a big tree.
I've never been chased by a moose, so I don't know. But anyway, so then the next thing I remember, yeah, so, I've told you about the snow and everything. So I have pictures. I think the last time we talked, I was trying to explain this thing that we called the snow cutter, what it was. So I found a picture of it, and this is what it looks like. Okay, it's like a tractor, but it's got it's almost like a cow catcher like on a train, because this is Immigration Canyon. This is not very far from where I grew up. That is a car, and then that's a person. That's an adult person.
How do you move that much snow?
You use the cutter.
So
and then they come along with that. They like slice it through. See what happens? You can't really tell, but that's a great big snowdrift, right? And so that could happen overnight. So they use the cutters, and then they bring in the side plows that it shoots it way up high.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, so I couldn't find the picture of me. Somewhere there's a picture of me standing on top of this. Yeah, but look at how old that car is. Isn't that funny?
Wow.
How would you get on top of that?
Well, you just climb up. I guess you could climb on top of the car.
Yeah. I mean, Tyler, it's not soft snow.
Yeah. So anyway, one winter, my dad got a call. I think it was a Sunday, and it was a friend of his in Garden City, which isn't, it's all related. It's like half hour away. And he said that he asked Dad what he was doing, and he's like, nothing. He's like, well, why don't you load up your snowmobiles and come on over here? There's a plane that landed on the lake. And if I've told you this story.
Well, you haven't told it here, but you've told us the plane story.
Okay. So the plane that landed on the lake. And the guy walked up, to the owner of what he thought was his land and told him that his plane had landed in the field. And the guy's like, oh no, that's a lake. So I was able actually to find pictures of us pulling the plane off the lake.
Oh, I've only seen these once.
Oh.
Wow.
See,
So
it's a little plane. Huh?
So you pulled it with the snowmobile.
That's an amazing landing.
Yes, it was a very amazing landing. Here's another picture. It gives you a better perspective of the lake. See, they've got it off the lake now. But the other thing too is that the ice is so thick. The other thing that happens in the winter is the Cisco's run. Cisco's do these little tiny fish. Well, they're about this big, I guess. And so we would, the guy was stressed out about his plane going through there. And we're like, that's not a problem, because we all drive our pickup trucks out there, and, everybody digs a hole in the ice, and we all sit around and fish. Anyway, that we would do that too. And then we would take them home and smoke them. And they're really good, like little snacks. This is another picture I wanted to show you. Huh?
Are they like sardines, kind of?
Well, they're bigger. They're about this big, and we would just catch them and just line them up on like a rope, and then just put them over the fire and smoke them that way. They're really good.
How thick?
Huh?
How thick would the ice be when you had to like drill down?
Oh my God. Well, okay. So let's just say 6 pickups are there. Okay. So it's pretty thick, and I couldn't find a picture, but in the spring when the ice breaks, it sounds like gunshots.
Right.
And yeah, but then the ice will be up like this. Sometimes it will be like 12 feet up, and it would be really, really thick.
Wow.
But anyway, so this is, okay, so in that picture I showed you last time where the lake was there, and you could see like there was like a field or something in front. You probably don't remember. But anyway, this is another view of it. This is a crop circle that somebody did like last week.
That's
and
awesome.
this area is called the what's it called? The sinkholes, because we used to snowmobile there, and there were sinkholes everywhere, and you had to be careful, you didn't fall in one, which my dad did one time. He landed on a ledge, and we were able to pull him out with a rope.
Okay, so this is in 2020.
Yes, this was last week.
Okay, and what was the inside of a sinkhole like?
Okay, so a sinkhole is basically a big hole in the ground.
Right.
And some of them are really, really deep. But this one had a little ledge, but it's snow covered because, so I mean, when he fell in, he's like, he landed on the ledge.
Yeah. Did he ever tell you what the inside of it was like?
Well, he didn't like it.
I mean, there's stories of sinkholes in like, there was one in like some Latin American city that a house just disappeared in 6 seconds and they never found the guy that was asleep in his bed.
Yeah, I know that one. Could he see down further because there was just a ledge? Could he see down further?
Yeah, he said he couldn't tell how far down it went because it was filled with snow.
And is that area known for its sinkholes?
Yeah, well, when I was there were 3 of them, which is kind of crazy. I mean, we had no business snowmobiling there.
That sounds insane.
And we would be tobogganing. We would take the toboggans to the very top of the hill and just go swishing right past the sinkhole. It wasn't the brightest thing to do, right?
So those sinkholes are still there.
Oh yeah, they're still there. They're not going anywhere.
Are they getting?
No, they don't. They don't fill in.
No, and I don't know.
Idaho off the list.
Oh no,
that's actually Utah.
The way that these things happen is typically it's an underwater aquifer that will just like, it's filled with water for a long time and then something shifts somewhere along the way and it will drain. And then slowly but surely, like the water is empty, so it's kind of like a big pocket. And then eventually it just drops.
Yeah. Sometimes, well, I'm sure probably now people have probably done like reverse mountain climbing. I don't know what you'd call that. And well, that's a cave though. This isn't a cave; it's a hole.
I don't think people are going climbing down in a sinkhole, Mom.
Why not? Why wouldn't they?
Because I don't think
there's crazy people everywhere.
That is true.
Well, they just wanted to figure it out, I guess. So. Okay, so let's see what else. Oh, okay. So when I was 12, well, pretty much 10 to 12, everybody that lived in town, they also ran cattle. They were ranchers, right? So, and everybody in the summertime, well, in the spring, all the ranchers let their cattle loose. They just turn them out and they turn them out into the national forest. And it's great because then the cows eat all that and the rancher doesn't have to feed them. But in the meantime, the rancher is growing crops so he can feed hay to his cows in the winter because the snow's so deep, there's no way the cows can get any kind of grass, okay? So in August, what would happen is roundup. So that was when everybody has to go round up everybody's cows and give them back to their rightful owner before the snow comes, right? So I loved August because that's when my friends and we would get up early in the morning and we'd go out with my friend's dad or brother, whatever. We'd saddle up our horses and we'd put them in the trailer and then we'd go off into the canyons, right? And we'd ride for days and we'd gather up cows along the way and there would be like these big pens and we'd bring them back to the pens and, we'd put them in there and then we'd head back out.
You were a literal cowgirl.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like just being in the middle of nowhere for days?
It's actually beautiful. And you were in the middle of nowhere, but you weren't by yourself.
I mean, so you were in these canyons. Like, it's just stunning. Like, I mean, I'm imagining like the scene in my head. Like, so in German, this is like Kopfkino, like your mind theater. There's not a translation, but it's like the mental picture I have is like you sitting there like after a day of riding, and when you were saying that you would do this for days at a time, were you in a trailer or were you in like a tent?
Well, the real cowboys, they stayed overnight, and there would be like so a cook would be there, and the food there was tremendous, but we weren't allowed to stay there. My friend's dad didn't want us staying there. So when it got dark, we would take our horses back, to the barn, and then we'd go back into town and go to sleep, and then we'd get up and come back the next day. But the food was awesome. It was like, everything was cooked in Dutch ovens under the ground, and it was really, really fun.
I'm just picturing like in the Rocky Mountains in the late summer, with the sun starting to set behind the mountains, and like, you know, those, as you'd always describe, those Idaho days with the clear blue skies.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds fantastic.
And how long would these roundups last? Weeks?
I know, usually a week, you know, and they would get because all the ranchers, you know, everybody that has cattle, they have a different brand on their cattle. So they would put them in big pens, and then they'd cut out their cows and they'd put them in, depending on where they were going, they'd bring in great big trailers. You know, you've seen those cattle trailers. They'd
Yep.
put them there. Yeah. But one time, my favorite memory is my friend and I were out, and it's hot and the bugs are everywhere, and we find this one cow, and so we're trying to get her to go up there, and she wouldn't come, and it was because she had just calved. She just had a baby, and she didn't want to leave her baby. And we're like, okay, so we jumped off our horses and we grabbed the baby and we put the baby across our saddle.
Nice.
And then the mom came after that, right? Yeah, so she came and we got her in the pen, and I think they didn't put her in with the other cows because the cows get really agitated, you know, when they're all there together. And then plus, one time it was towards the end of the day, and we're in this canyon, and all these cows, I don't know, there were hundreds of them in this big pen. And there was a thunderstorm, and there was lightning and thunder, and oh my God, that was scary. Because they get really scared and they try to bust out of the fences and everything.
How many cows would you guys lose?
I don't remember my friend's dad ever saying that he ever lost any cows.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Tyler, they're cows.
He probably did. I mean, because there weren't any wolves because they'd killed them all. There are wolves there now. But, you know, there's all kinds of things because cows are pretty defenseless. You know, I mean,
the cow's main defense strategy is, I am very large and pretty tough.
No.
That's it.
They don't have any strategy.
That's what I mean.
They're just cows. Yeah. So like with a bobcat or something like that, I mean, I'm sure there were some that didn't make it, you know, because they would put them out in the national forest. They'd probably wait till June, I guess, because it would still be snowing sometimes the end of May.
Do they still do that?
Yeah, they still do it.
Would wolves would wolves take down cattle?
Of course they would.
Yeah.
They're carnivores.
No, I don't mean would they. I mean, like, cattle are typically larger animals. Like wolves are pack hunters, so it's not a problem.
Yeah. Oh no, of course.
Wolves, like wolves. I always thought like wolves going after like sheep and a little bit smaller prey.
Wolves can take down a moose.
That's awesome.
But you're right. It's a pack. It takes a pack to do that. So.
What were the stars like out there?
Oh my God, the stars are incredible because it's probably not like this now, but still, because it's a very small town, you can see so many stars. It's just beautiful.
Could you see the Milky Way?
Yes, you can. And if you're lucky, you can see the Northern Lights sometimes. They come down that far.
How often would you, well, I'm sure it doesn't happen anymore, but how often would you guys see them?
The Northern Lights?
Yeah.
I've only seen them twice.
In Idaho.
Right. Well, because they don't usually come that far south. And, well, actually, one time I saw them in San Francisco, which was fun. Yeah, we were there visiting my Aunt Gail and her family. And we were at Fisherman's Wharf, actually.
Okay.
So, but anyway, no, the stars were beautiful, and you know, the night, the moon, and that leads me into my next story. Yeah, so about that time, because we already had snowmobiles, we joined the Snowmobile Club, which was like all the rage, right?
What's the Snowmobile Club?
The Snowmobile Club. We would go on these incredible night rides up in the mountains, and with the moon was out. What?
Hopefully not in the same place as the sinkholes.
No, this is another canyon. There's canyons everywhere, right?
This is all before you're 15 years old.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
keep going.
Anyway, so we would go snowmobiling and we'd go on these great rides. And that's another memory too. Like we didn't have Home Depot, okay, we didn't even have a hardware store to get our Christmas trees. We went up in the mountains on our snowmobiles, and we would take the toboggan and we'd pick out a tree, chop it down and tie it to the toboggan and bring it home. So that's one of the things we did on snowmobiles. The other things we did, so they even started, they had like races, snowmobile races, and they set up these awesome tracks with jumps and everything at the fairgrounds. And so we would go around and do that. And I actually did race in one. It was fun.
How'd you do?
I think I came in third.
Ooh, a little snowmobiler,
But
huh?
it was fun. It was really fun. I love snowmobiling. It's one of my favorite things to do. And actually, when I went to Colorado a couple of years ago, I went snowmobiling when they went. Well, I did go skiing too, but yeah, I went snowmobiling. It was so much fun. I snowmobiled to the Continental Divide. It was awesome.
That's awesome. Snowmobiling sounds like fun.
It was fun. It was a lot.
To do that this year?
Huh?
I think weren't we supposed to do that in 2020?
No, I think it was like 2021 or something.
Something like that.
What was this?
Like go into Yellowstone or something with the snowmobiles. What was the plan?
Oh yeah, I wanted to go in the wintertime and ride in from, I think is it Colorado? Montana. You ride in from Montana and you go all the way into Yellowstone. That would be great fun.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Oh, let's see what else. Oh, the other thing was where we would snowmobile. Instead of playing, inside like you guys probably would do in the winter, we would be outside on our snowmobiles, which right across the street from us was this huge field. And we would take the snowmobiles out there. Well, actually, more than one field, because with the snowdrifts, you could just go over the fences. And so you could be all. So anyway, we would
to jump over cars.
Yeah, I'm leading into that.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. But anyway, so we would take the snowmobiles. Literally, we would start them and just cross the street, and we'd be in the field, right? And the dogs would come with us, and we always had dogs. Mostly, we had the white Samoyed Huskies, and we had Pete and Prince. And Prince was my dad's dog, and Pete was my dog. But they loved to run. When we would be on these snowmobile rides, they would run, literally. They would run until the pads on their feet would bleed. So usually we'd grab them, and they actually, because when you drive a snowmobile, right, it's like a motorcycle, right? So my dog would sit right here.
Right.
And I think I don't know where Dad put his dog, probably there too, because they had a bad habit of sliding off, when you're zipping around. But anyway, so we take the toboggan, and then we had these great big inner tubes, because I told you my dad had a million jobs. He was into heavy construction, and he would drive these machines. I remember going to visit him at the mine, and the tire was taller than he was, and he was 6 feet tall. Okay. So that's as big as the wheel was, but they had inner tubes in them, and he would always bring the inner tubes home. And that's what we used. We would tie a rope around the inner tube and tie it to the snowmobile, and then drag everybody around. It was so much fun. Oh my God, it was a blast. And then we would do the same thing with the toboggan, only we'd let the dogs ride on the toboggan, and they'd jump on, and we'd give them a ride. I don't know
if you remember this, but do you remember in the neighborhood, we would tie a rope around an inner tube and someone would drag us around? Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. It only happened like once or twice.
It's fun. Do you remember when?
Go ahead.
Huh? Go ahead.
Do you remember when we would go around corners and they would like whip us around?
Yes.
And
that's
Lucy would
probably my idea, because that's what we did on the snowmobile. It was so much fun.
And Lucy would chase after us. Yeah.
Poor Lucy.
She would not be happy we were going around having fun.
And then remember, Daniel, she'd grab your hat. She would run down after you and grab your hat. And then sometimes she'd even jump on the inner tube. Remember that? I
do. In fact, I do remember this.
Good times.
Good times. That's right. All right. Let's see. What else can I tell you? Okay. So Daniel, yes, one year we have tremendous storms, right? But one year we had so many snowstorms, and the drifts were so high that so my car was parked here. Wasn't my car yet; it was still my parents' car, and the snowdrift was all the way up like that. And so I just drove up the side and jumped off my car. It was fun. It was great fun. My mom and dad were not pleased though.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. Anyway.
On your car.
So the other thing happened when I was about 12. My dad had a million different jobs, and he had a backhoe, and he used to dig ditches for people and, fix irrigation ditches and things like that. But, farmers and ranchers are poor, and a lot of times they don't have money to pay. So they would pay with whatever they had, right? There was a bartering system. So my dad, I think he was digging ditches with the backhoe. But anyway, the guy couldn't afford to pay him in money, so he paid him with a horse. And that was my horse, and his name was Cadet. And I was thrilled, because he even had saddles and everything. I was so excited that I finally had a horse, because I've been riding horses since I was, 8, but never my own. And my mother, however, wasn't very happy, because the last thing we could afford is a horse.
How old are you now?
How old am I now? 12.
12, okay.
Yeah. 12, 13-ish. Anyway, so we couldn't leave the horse where we lived, because we didn't even have a fenced-in yard, and it was in town. So we rented a stable slot across town for the horse, but that was expensive. So he couldn't stay there. I think he was only there for a couple weeks. And then we moved him to our ranch house in St. Charles. But how do you think he got there?
You rode him.
I had to ride him.
How long of a ride is that?
It was like 16 hours, I swear. It was the longest horse ride of my life.
So that was only one day.
Yes. It was horrible. But anyway, so we got him there, and, he
wasn't happy.
He was a really old horse. Well, horses are social creatures, and there wasn't any other horses there. There were some cows, but, he stayed there for a while. But, yeah, my mom wasn't happy, because we couldn't afford a horse. What else do I have? Let's see.
Was it you that was telling me that, like, in the Iditarod, like, when they run these huskies for so long, they actually have to convince the dogs to stop?
Yes. Okay,
Like,
so because the dogs they're bred to run, and they've always done that. And that's why our huskies, we just let them run because they loved it. They would cry. They would cry if you didn't let them run. But when their pads, because the snow would get in there and their pads would start to bleed, then we would make them ride with us. And they were okay. I mean, they wanted to be with us, but they loved to run.
How long?
And we also, I forgot about this. We also used to put the toboggan. We would hook them up to the toboggan, and they'd run us around too.
Could you control it, or would they just take you wherever?
Yeah, it didn't go very well. They would just go wherever. But when you ride a toboggan, you can actually control it depending on how you lean. It will go left or right. But yeah, the dog not so much. The dog not so much. So, okay, so by this time I'm 13, and where I grew up, and if you grew up on a ranch or a farm, you were driving a tractor. I remember driving a tractor when I was 8. So anyway, so when you're 13, you can take driver's ed and learn to drive a car.
Well, this is 1970 what?
I don't know. If I'm 13, let's say 60, it would be 3. This is 1970.
1970, okay.
Yeah. So just like you guys, driver's ed was through school, and we were always excited. But the difference between where I grew up and I don't know where you guys' cars came from, but they were always, for us, they were always donated by this guy that had the only car dealership in town. And it was very exciting for us because they were brand new cars, and we got to drive brand new cars. So that was always fun. Let's see, what else?
It's
and I think the guy that taught us driver's ed, I think he was the football coach.
It usually is.
Yeah. So the only bad thing, about learning to drive when you're 13 is that you can't drive when it's dark. You have to wait till you're 16 before you can drive in the dark.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Seems
And
good.
so graduation day was they would take you up to this, it's called Immigration Canyon, that picture I showed you of the snow. They would take you up there and you had to drive out of the canyon. And it's switchbacks, okay? And you have to not go fast. And okay, so in the West, they don't have guardrails like they do here, right? You have to not drive off the road. And that was pretty scary to be 13 and did. But I mean, we were all fine.
Mom, yes, agreed. That's terrifying. I remember when I was in Italy, and there was like, these crazy drivers, because they know the roads, they're driving around and they know exactly how fast they can go, and you're going up these hills and you're like, oh, let me try to not do this, and and you see them like, whoosh, they're passing you in places, and you're like, I am not comfortable.
You just need to get out of their way. Okay, so now this is my last picture. Okay, this is first day of school.
Move it back a little bit.
Oh, hold on. Okay. Okay. So this is the first day of school. This is 1970. So I think this is 8th grade.
You're the middle.
I'm the middle. Don't I look happy?
Who's on the left? In the red.
That's Aunt Laurel.
Yeah. Nice.
And then this is my cousin Marcia.
Is she the one that always calls you?
No. My cousin Marcia, she passed away from AIDS probably a long time ago. Yeah. So very funny. But my grandmother, see, I actually have a store-bought dress here, but my grandmother made this one and that one. Yeah. So this is taken in our front yard. So let me see if, can you go back? Can you see that great big scratch on that car?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is probably my last story of today. So I told you my dad was a train wreck, right? He was like, it got to the point where I don't even know how he even worked, because he was always drinking and he wasn't happy, and he and my mom were fighting a lot. And because, I mean, he really was mentally, he needed help, and he was probably an alcoholic by that point too. Anyway, I came home from school one day and my mother is livid at me, and I was like, what's wrong? And she's like, why didn't you tell me you put that big scrape in that car? I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't do that. I was at school. And it turned out it was my dad did that, trying to get it into the garage. But he knew that my mother was going to be very angry at him. So he lied and told her that I did it.
Nice. How'd that go?
And that pretty much was the end of my dad and I getting along, because he would do anything to not be held accountable. It was awful. But anyway, so that car is a Chevrolet. I think it's a 1960 something. That car became my car after I got my driver's license. And back in my day, everybody named their cars. I named her Bertha Blue Car.
Bertha Blue Car.
Bertha Blue Car, yes. And so I drove her everywhere. There isn't a whole lot to do in a very small town, but what all the kids do, because you're 13 and you can drive, right? You take your car, and we called it dragging Main, and you would just drive up and down Main Street. Did I not print? Oh, I had another picture. I don't think I printed it. Anyway, of what Main Street looked like. I'll show it to you next time. I don't know where it went. Anyway, yeah, so we would just drive up and down the street. We'd drive up one way, turn around at the railroad tracks, and drive back the other way, just to see what was happening in town and who was out driving around. But sometimes I would take the dogs, and the dog would sit next to me, like right next to me. And we'd go to the A&W, and my dad used to always take the dogs every Friday to A&W because you could get 5 hamburgers for $1.
Whoa. Like
and the
McDonald's
dogs,
hamburgers?
I'm sorry?
Were they like McDonald's hamburgers, or were they
No.
real hamburgers?
No, they were real hamburgers.
Whoa.
And that's like a meal. That's a family, a family of 4 can eat that. So for $1.
That's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. So
That's why you love burgers.
I do like burgers.
Who doesn't like burgers?
Yeah. So I think, okay, so where are we now? Yeah, it's 1970. Yeah. So do you have any questions for me?
Daniel, you go.
Whoa, put me on the spot. I'm still wrapping my head around seeing a bunch of 13-year-olds driving cars along Main Street. Like this is the scene in my head right now, because I'm imagining it wasn't just you. It was like, okay, it's a small town. There's probably like 5 or 6 people that are of the same age doing the same thing like this.
Well, okay, so it wasn't every day. Because remember, this is a working community. You were either at school, and I always had a job. Well, I guess I could tell you about my first job. Yeah, my first job, I think I was 8, maybe 9. A lady that I knew, her husband was killed in a car accident. And she had 2 little girls and a brand new baby. And she got a ton of money because
The life insurance policy.
It was that, and then plus he shouldn't have been killed. Anyway, so she got a lot of money. So she had literally money to burn. So she always wanted to go out to the bar. So I was the babysitter. I would ride my bike over there, and I'd be there usually every weekend. Sometimes I just spend the night because, and actually, at one point she bought some land and put a trailer on it. Like, she was like 2 blocks from me, so I could have gone home, but it was way more fun to stay at her house. Anyway, but everybody worked, so that was my first job. And then my second job, I worked in a gas station. So after school, I was always at work. Everybody worked 2 jobs. If you were a rancher or a farmer, you were out, until 9 and 10 o'clock at night doing your cows or whatever it was you were doing. So when I say we were dragging Maine, that would be like maybe a Friday and maybe a Saturday. And then the rest of the time we were working. We were always working. So it wasn't a lot of people. I mean, it wasn't like, it was bumper to bumper.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like when we would get our license, Daniel, we would drive around and just drive.
I mean, I used to do that in the country as well. Like when I went to JMU, I would just go for drives.
Yeah.
I would do that at like around Annandale.
Hey, give me a quick second. My neighbor upstairs is asking for Advil. I'm just going to go put some outside the door. Be back in a minute.
Deal. What else, Mom?
What are your questions, Tyler? Oh, should we wait for Daniel?
Well, we can keep going.
Okay.
So 13 years old. This is in middle school.
Yeah.
Each driver's ed together or separately?
So, I'm sorry?
They teach driver's ed together, like boy and girl?
Yeah.
And then were things segregated then still there?
Segregated by, what do you mean?
Black and white.
There were no black people there, Tyler. I didn't see a black person until I was in the Army.
And that is 1975.
Yeah.
So we're coming
That'll be next time, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, there was no segregation where I grew up, which was good. The question was there segregation, Daniel?
Was there black people?
Yes. No,
Okay.
There were none. There were none.
Kind of hard to be segregated if you're,
There were no Chinese people. There were no black people. There were, however, a lot of Indians, but
Really?
they were segregated.
You mean like Native American Indians?
Yeah. Oh no, not from India. No.
Yeah, I was like, that's kind of weird. They would go there.
No.
Large population here.
Like the opposite. Yeah, 120 degrees to like 6 below zero.
Oh, well, I do have one more story since I'm 13. So I was very excited, and you can see, like the house that's in the background there, that's the house next door to where I grew up.
Okay.
And we got new neighbors, and their last name was Kroll, and there were 5 kids and 4 boys and a girl. And then the girl was my age. I was so excited. So I went over, knocked on the door, and I met her. Her name was Roxanne. She's still my friend today. But everybody was all up in arms because they were Catholic. I was like, what does that mean? Because we were all Mormons, right? They didn't even have it. Well, actually, there were Catholics in the valley, but I didn't know any of them. So I was like all excited, and I met her, and we were getting along, and somehow religion came up, and I said, "What's a Catholic?" She just laughed, and she's like, "Well, my parents were just, they asked me the same thing. What's a Mormon?" So her dad was they were very well off. He worked for the railroad. So if you had a railroad job, man, you were making bank then. But yeah, so no, there was, that's funny, Tyler. I remember watching football and seeing black players, but I had no idea. That's a story for another time. Yeah.
Addie's coming on 2 for 2, huh?
Hi, look at, say hi. Say hi, Addie. Oh, Addie, look at you. Oh, she's mad now. Yeah, she's very annoying.
She did that 2 times. She did that last time. She came up to you and then ran away.
I know. She can't sit still. I don't know what her problem is, but anyway. So, and no more questions for me? What else?
Do you still talk to Roxanne?
I'm sorry?
You still talk to Roxanne?
I'm friends with her on social media. I don't really talk to her. She ended up getting married to this lowlife guy. Well, he was another person from the valley, and he was also a big drinker. And probably maybe 5 years after they got married, he actually ran over her.
What?
Oh my God, what?
It's a thing, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, he actually ran over her on purpose. So the last time I talked to her was right after that happened, and I was like, "Well, you're divorcing him, right?" She's like, "Oh no." I'm like,
So this is recently.
No, this was years and years and years ago. This was probably 15 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. Or no, longer than that. I'm sorry. No, I would have been in my 20s. Yeah, so it was 40 years ago.
Okay, so a long time ago, yeah.
Yeah, so I haven't talked to her since then because I don't know, if somebody ran over me, I wouldn't be sticking around.
Yeah, well, how long, like, so they move in and everyone doesn't like them or doesn't talk to them because they're Catholic. How long did that last?
Not very long. They were very friendly. We just didn't know, we had no idea.
Town, Tyler. It's gossip.
It's what?
I was saying, Tyler, it's a small town. It's new gossip.
Yeah. But there were other Catholics in the valley. I just didn't know them. But she was very nice. She became one of my best friends, and we would walk to school together and study together. We would always hang out in her house because her parents had the best house. They had a basement that had a big television down there, and you could watch TV. And her mom would always make us stuff to eat and everything. And how old am I now?
13, 14.
13.
I'm 13 or 14. Okay, so I'll tell you what else happened during that time. So I told you my sister always wanted to hang out with me, and I was really mean to her, and I didn't really want her hanging out with us. So
You weren't nice to her for a while.
I wasn't nice to her, but just because I don't know why. I don't know. I guess, it wasn't very nice of me. But anyway, so in our family, we always had animals, and they came and went and everything. And I think we probably still had Pete. I don't know what happened to Prince. But anyway, Laurel got a puppy. And I think it was like some kind of, we didn't have like dogs, that were, the Huskies were purebred dogs, but for the most part, we had mutts. And so her dog looked like, it was a very cute, poodle looking like thing. And she named it this crazy name, Spoof. She named it Spoof. And she loved that dog. So one day we were sitting in my friend Roxanne's basement, and we were hungry and my sister was a really good cook then. We wanted her to make us brownies, and she wouldn't. So we kidnapped her dog, and we wrote a ransom note and everything. And it was horrible. She was crying. We told her the ransom was brownies. And so she went home and she made them, and she baked them and brought them. to the contact point. I think it was at the football field or something. And where the dog was tied up there. And so she took poor Spoof home and left the brownies, and we descended on the brownies and took them back to Roxanne's basement, and we were going to eat them, but she had put too much butter in them, and so they were horrible.
Well, I mean, she was under pressure.
No, and the bad part was that she was like 9 years old.
Oh my God. So now she compensates for having like every animal.
I haven't talked to her about Spoof in a long time. I'll have to talk to her about that. Yeah.
Oh my.
So anyway.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Oh God. Yeah, that's great.
Who doesn't love a good sibling battle?
But the thing about growing up,
every younger sibling.
Yeah. The thing about growing up in the West, though, is that you have to grow up really quickly because there's a lot that's expected of you. You have to work. You have to, wash your own clothes. You got to do everything.
I mean, also, there's a lot of death in the stories that you've been telling.
Yeah. So when my dad ran over his friend, that was awful. That was a really, really hard time. And looking back at it now, it was just like that was the straw that broke the camel's back for him. And he never, ever recovered. But this is the thing. Our home life was horrible because he was unhappy and it didn't matter what you did. It wasn't good enough. And he was always yelling. But everybody in the valley loved my stepdad because he would be the first one out the door to help you, to do whatever you needed. Everybody loved him. When he went to the bar, he never had to buy a drink because everybody was buying drinks for him.
Wow.
Tried to help everyone else because he couldn't help himself.
Yeah, no, and alcoholism is a disease. It truly is. But, everybody was so surprised. Well, I'll get to that part of the story too, because that, yeah. They just thought he was a wonderful person. Huh?
It's not even just like with your dad. I mean, that's kind of the extreme example, but it was also like the person who you babysat for when you were 8, her husband died in a car crash. I mean, it's normal for you to see there was farms there, so death is, when you're near farms, you are near death all the time because especially with ranchers and everything because they sell meat.
Well, it's a hard life. Oh yeah. Well, there was the slaughterhouse part. I forgot to tell you that part too.
But it's just
after the roundup.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
I'm sorry, the Napoleon Dynamite. Then the Napoleon Dynamite scene where they're driving in the school bus and he shoots the cow as the school bus drives by.
That happened all the time. I mean, it's a different kind of life. Life's hard, and people need to eat. So
yeah,
you love that movie, Mom.
I did love it. It was like going home.
I can throw this football over that mountain.
So what was the llama's name?
Tina.
Tina.
Gosh, Tina, you fat lard, get your dinner.
You're killing me, Tina. Yeah, I love that movie. It was awesome. Yeah, they did a good job because that's exactly how it was back then.
The telephone line that ran all the way out of the house, and the only place you could get privacy was by taking the phone through the house out the front door.
Okay, so that was the other thing. Like when you were talking on the phone, everybody had these long cords. I mean, long cords. So we would our phone was in the kitchen, and I could take the phone all the way through the kitchen, in the hallway, into the closet, the clothes closet, which is where I was talking on the phone.
So did you when you were walking around, did you have to make sure to watch out for the phone cable places?
Yeah. Yeah, because there were no cordless phones, right? Yeah.
Well, I remember it definitely wasn't that long, but we had a corded phone in the kitchen. You remember that, Mom?
No. How old were you then?
Yeah, I was not very old, and it would always fall, and I would yank it. You remember it?
Did it always fall, or did you always yank it?
Well, I would always yank it, and it would always fall. And I remember one day I yanked it, and you got so mad because it like almost exploded when it hit the kitchen floor.
Oh.
That's it. We're getting a cordless phone.
You know what? I can see this entirely playing out. And Tyler, I can see a reaction going like, what?
Yeah, like if you would bump up against it, because remember, it was essentially it was right at the top of the stairs. Remember that?
It was
And
where the phone was.
if you like bumped it with anything, it would fall off. And it was always falling off.
I think I remember this. It was a white phone, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was white.
Oh, was that the same phone that ended up down in the laundry room after?
Yes.
I don't think so. I think the laundry room was always there. Or maybe it was.
It was the white phone that ended up in the laundry room afterward, because the phone, that was when we got the first black phone, and the black cordless phone went on the wall of the kitchen, and then that phone moved to the den afterward.
So you do remember things.
Yeah. See, Dan, you're starting to remember stuff. It's coming back.
The thing is, I can remember stuff like that. I can go like step for step through our entire house.
There you go.
But
All right,
anyway.
So this is up until 1970, right?
Yeah.
Ish. We can go in ish.
So we went from 67 to 70, or
60 to 70.
57 to 70.
No, we went to from 64 to 70.
64 to 70.
Roughly.
Next time it'll be 70 to 75-ish.
70 to 75-ish.
Or if you want to do like 70 to 73, we could do that, or 70 to 73.
No, that's okay.
It's just up to you and how much you remember. Like the more, like I know when I started doing these, like the more you talk about other things, more memories kind of like flow in.
Right.
Whether or not they're
I have to think about 70s. I'm sure there's lots of things that happened in the 70s. I'll have to think about it.
You joined the military, right?
75.
Yeah, 75. There you go. So, how fast did you go in your car when you were 13 years old?
Pretty fast.
70, 80?
Oh, well, yeah, because well, not when you're in the canyon, and it's a big car too. I mean, it's like it was like driving a boat.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we would. Well, the speed limit in town was 25, but if you went up on the bypass or whatever it is, I think you could go 45 or 50, and that would be okay. Oh, the other thing I forgot to tell you, that in Montpelier, in my hometown, the Oregon Trail goes right through the town, and there's a marker up there. So if we ever go back, you'll have to stop at the marker.
There's a museum now.
In Montpelier?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, where the marker is? Oh, it's probably like a place just to stop, right? A little like tourist thing.
Yeah, I think it's a tourist thing. I think it's
okay.
Like an Oregon Trail stop.
Did you ever go on the Oregon Trail? It sounded like you went everywhere else in that town.
Yeah, of course we did.
What's it like?
Well, it's a highway where Montpelier, but the Oregon Trail, I mean, it went all over the place. It just happened to cross in Montpelier. Maybe that's why people ended up staying there. I don't know.
There is the National Oregon/California Trail Center there.
In Idaho?
No, in Montpelier.
Oh. Well,
there's also the Butch Cassidy Museum.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, Butch Cassidy. He hung out there.
See, I am the living historian. Daniel's my backup. He fact checker. He does it. Between the two of us, we got everything down.
There you go. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it still baffles me how Tyler goes, yeah, there's one phone that fell down a bunch, and I go like, oh yeah, the one that was right below the key cabinet, above the light switches.
I remember the key cabinet.
No, the key cabinet was where it went. The one that was wooden, that had the tin engravings in it.
Oh yeah. That was after the phone.
No, that was in the hallway, wasn't it?
The phone was in the hallway before because this was before we remodeled the kitchen.
Yeah, okay.
See,
That was the terrible kitchen.
I can't explain it to you. I remember cooking. I remember when we would cook meals, like in the basement.
Oh, yeah.
Being redone.
Yes, that was horrible. Yeah, we cooked in the microwave, and then Mrs. Sass lent us this awesome electric frying pan so we actually could cook real food. We did the dishes in that laundry sink. Ugh.
Yeah, that probably wasn't very healthy.
Well, I mean, we use soap. It's fine.
Yeah.
What are you going to do, right?
Oh, by the way, Mom, me and you, for whatever reason, definitely have the same view of like, I use soap. It should be, it's clean. Like, I know Tyler is like, but it's the sink. It's like, and Mom, I know you and I are like, but there's soap.
Hi, Casey.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you? It's weird.
Yeah.
Seeing yourself in the frame, it's really odd, isn't it?
Well, no, it's like looking at you guys, you're like angled a little bit.
Oh.
You're not directly like right in front of me.
Oh, I'm glad I don't see that view.
Yeah.
How are you?
Good.
What are we on?
We ended at 1970 today.
Whoa,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Now the
Now I
fun
have to think about what happened in 1970.
She told us about the time where she held her sister's dog captive. No, for ransom, for brownie.
We kidnapped the dog, yes.
Oh my God, I need to call Laurel and talk to her.
Well,
Like,
It's a miracle she talks to me, right?
I feel like she went through a lot.
Yeah, should we have her on one day on this?
Yeah, we could do that. I wonder if her memories are the same as mine.
They're probably not.
Probably not.
Probably a little bit different.
But like when we brought Dad into the Oma memory things, because it's getting to the point where it's like 2000s now, right? When we brought him in, because he's going over there, he tells like a memory, like she says, Oma says something, and then my dad, like it triggers something, and then it just keeps triggering. It's really cool.
Oh, that's fun.
It is very funny that Oma's Oma's journal is very much like paid $300 for a new washing machine. Saw the doctor. It's the most business like it's a ledger of her life is what it feels like more than anything.
Somebody must have told her it was a requirement to write in it at every moment, every turning milestone.
Yeah, we should do Laurel. I feel like it would be good. Have her on every once in a while.
I mean, I do need to like Mom.
I think she'd like that.
Like with like Elise as well, because that blanket is awesome.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
yeah,
have your
get
blanket
back
right now, right?
Here's mine. I know.
Yeah, he's
love
got
it.
it on.
Is it so fuzzy? Like mine is really fuzzy all the time, and I can't get it to not be fuzzy.
Why would you want it to not be fuzzy?
No, like Casey, it like sheds on everything.
Oh, like Linty.
Oh.
Wash
Linty.
it. Yeah, don't wash it.
No, don't wash it. Isn't it wool?
No, it's not wool. I think it's
It
the
is
other
wool.
one. It's
It's
wool.
wool. It's
Well, you
wool.
can just wash it in cold water. But you don't have a dryer anyway. So
Just put it in the tub.
I guess you could, if it's linty, you could use one of those rollers on it.
Mom, if I use the roller on this thing, do you know how large it is?
Yeah, Mom's got one too.
Yeah, but I think, mine's the same size as yours. Well, I think mine's the same.
Well, I also know that some wool, you can't stop it from shedding.
Yeah, this one I don't think will ever stop shedding.
Because like the one we have, I don't think would
Yeah, we didn't
stop
get one.
shedding. No, but Deb made one for us.
I would still try washing it.
I don't feel right washing wool. That feels wrong.
I think it's funny you have a couch in your room.
Why?
I don't know. It's like 3 rooms in one.
Well, it's his life in one.
It's kind of like an efficiency apartment.
Except the kitchen is in a different room. It's kind of nice.
Right.
And the bathroom. Let's hope.
And the bathroom.
Yes.
There
Although
is
there are some days when someone's in the bathroom, like taking a shower, or they're taking a little bit of a long time, and I've drank like 3 pots of tea and a glass and like 2 glasses of water, and I'm like, I need that person to leave the bathroom now.
You
There's
have
a-
it much easier than a lady. I don't want to hear it. You could pee into a bottle, no problem.
Oh, I just go to the garden and pee there.
Right? Or open a window. We cannot stick our butts out the window and just pee.
I mean, you could.
Okay, but you're not doing that.
Right. Talk to Lorelle and see if she wants to do this.
Oh, sure. Okay, I'll ask her. I'm sure she will. She
What time would
probably,
it be?
She's what, 2 hours behind, right?
yeah.
It'll be midday for her.
So do you want to keep doing this at 2, or is that hard for you, Daniel?
I mean, 2 is fine. It works most weeks, but I mean, shifting it around is always a little bit easier because 2 p.m. is 8 p.m.
Right. Well, Tyler, could you do like 12 or 1?
Yeah.
Do you want to change it to be 12, Daniel, or 1?
12 would be a lot easier, to be honest.
Okay. As long as you can still do that, Ty.
Deal.
Change calendar
I know.
before you forget.
I have to.
No, oh.
Casey, do you have clients at that time?
Depends on the week. My life isn't as organized as I would like it to be because typically I actually kind of do, but I can do it's the Parkers, so I can always do them in here. So you can be out there.
Oh no, I was asking.
No, I know, but I hate having Tyler stand. He has been standing for like 4 hours now.
Wait, why doesn't he do you guys not have like a little, like a shorter
I guess I
drawers?
could put it on the bed.
Well, so we have our desks in the living room, and then we don't have a desk in our bedroom.
Oh no, I meant like a chest of drawers for like clothes and stuff like that. And then he could sit on like a Pilates
That's
ball.
what it's on.
That's what it's on.
Oh, I didn't realize it was that tall. Mine is much shorter.
Yeah, it's up to like
Okay, yeah, chest level.
it's right here.
It's up to this high.
That'll
Okay,
do it.
two of them.
Oh, it's on the chest of drawers. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I don't know.
Casey,
One
haven't
of
you just not to ask at this point?
Very white. You guys have nice lighting. You guys look like you're tan. We're like white over here.
Yeah. Oh, look, I have a tail.
I can't believe Addie is so comfortable now.
No, she's a pain in the butt. She jumps up, she jumps down, she can't do anything. She doesn't know what she wants. Well, I know she wants dinner. That's what she wants. Is it 5 o'clock?
No.
Yeah, 5:30.
Oh yeah, it's her dinner
Oh,
time.
well, yeah, it's past
5:30.
dinner. That's her problem.
That's why she's so friendly.
She's like, remember me? Feed me, please.
Surprised she's not crying. Okay. All right. Well, you guys have a good week. Tyler, when is your next shot?
The 6th.
Yeah, February, like the first week of February.
Not this Saturday, but next Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I know, and then you'll
terrified.
get your first one like 2 days later, right?
My first one is on the 9th, I think. Yeah.
Well, because I am you, be prepared for some swelling.
Yeah. His arm was like, "Meow."
Yeah, she was no help. I was like,
Because he
no,
asks me,
oh,
no,
no. It's like,
no.
okay, is my shoulder swollen? She goes, I don't know. And
What?
it looks like I have like a tangerine growing out of my shoulder.
That's because he asked me when literally I was like on a call with a client and like starting, and he literally just like pokes his head out like angled at a side. He's like, "Is this swollen?" And I'm like, "Go, like,
Yeah.
no, talk to me later."
I had like
He always asks immediately,
a super
like, when I'm
defined
doing
shoulder over here. I
something.
had like a baby shoulder
Well,
over
I
here.
had to remember how many muscles you had.
Not very many.
Wait, I'm sorry, but Tyler, why did you need to ask?
Oh, you don't even
Because
know,
it was-
Danielle.
it was
He
hurting.
has to get Casey's opinion on everything.
Because that day-
everything.
That day in school, I was like, we were doing cup stacking, and I was handing a cup to a kid, right, with my left arm, and I got the shot in the other arm, my right arm. So I hand these cups, which weigh, I don't know, a quarter pound.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Not even.
Nothing.
I hand them to this kid, and all of a sudden, I get this like lightning bolt in the opposite shoulder, and it like, I almost fell to the ground. It was bad. It was really bad. I had to have the other teacher come over to hand out the other cups because I couldn't like stand up and move my shoulder. That's how bad it hurt. And then I come home like, hey, Case, my shoulder's swollen. She goes, I don't know.
Except you were like poking out because when you get home to shower and you want to come out in public. So he's like literally like hiding behind the wall being like, is this swollen? I'm like, I can't tell you.
What shoulder?
Ask
what are you
me
talking
later.
about?
I'm like, I have a client. Ask me in an hour. Like, just calm down.
I like the idea of Tyler with like this big swollen shoulder going like, hey, does this look all right to you? Like, you think this is fine?
That's
like
what I did. That's what I did.
Yeah, but he's
like your
ankle-
finger being green and you being like, hey, you think I should go to the doctor about this?
Yeah. And then like 2 hours later, she goes, why is your shoulder so much higher than the other one? I was like,
Well, no, that was weird. That was the other shoulder. I was like, I
can't be in a
can't
room with
tell
you.
because
I
your
can't be in a
body
room.
is so distorted. I'm like, what's happening? Like, put that down.
I have to go to my other room really quick. I can't be in this room. Only the room we have.
But look, this is gonna be the baby's room. We have another room,
Gotta empty it a little bit.
the closet. And look, we can use that as our changing table.
Yeah, perfect.
Save money.
And it's in the dark too, even better.
Light.
It doesn't even work.
It's gonna be perfect.
Oh, but you know what I read? So my sister didn't do this, but I read this online today that if you put a little mobile above the changing table, they get like all distracted, so you can change their diaper faster.
Does that work, Mom?
It depends on your kid.
That doesn't work.
That would have worked for you, but no, we had a mobile above your crib and that worked. You like
Yeah.
that?
I remember staring at that thing.
And I want the one that you can change out as they age, because they can only see certain things at certain ages.
Oh yeah, like when they're little, it's all about black and white and
white.
shapes and yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. He doesn't.
I was like, that's not
That's
made
not a
up.
thing.
That's not a thing. And I'm like, but it is a thing. That's what
I didn't have shapes. I had sun and no sun.
Did I respond to mobiles, Mom?
What?
I was talking to Tyler and Oma and Dad about this. Did like my vision back then? Did I respond to mobiles?
Yes, but you were more enamored with because in your room you had there was like a border, a wallpaper border, and it was trucks, and you were convinced that there was a guy living in a truck on your border.
That's awesome.
And he would come out and sit on your fan.
I remember that.
Okay, you would have stories like that too, I
Well,
believe, because you make up weird things
Okay,
about.
well, before we get into super weird stories, today Dad's told a story about Daniel about how he couldn't hear. Do you remember that? And
Yeah. Oh yes, I remember.
he had to get like tubes in his ears. I had tubes too, right?
No.
Oh, yeah, Casey. There was a point in my life where I was like mostly blind and also couldn't hear.
So no, Daniel didn't really talk till he was like 2. And we thought he was delayed, but really what it was is that he couldn't hear because he always had infections in his ears. And you had 2 sets of tubes, Daniel, not just one.
Oh my God.
We both had infections in our ears.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you're right?
Do you remember when mine burst?
Oh,
The Cub Scout thing?
God, stop it. Oh my
And
God.
I remember it felt great.
Yes, because the pressure is no longer there.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
pressure was gone.
It sounds terrible, but it's a good thing when it bursts because then you're no longer in pain.
I
It's a
remember
little
when I
messy.
think we went home and that was it.
You didn't do anything
I
for
think
it?
I had to get a tube put in. I'm pretty sure I had to get a tube put in. I was like 8 years old.
I thought it burst at home.
No, it burst out a Cub Scout thing. I was at the place across from Holmes Middle School. Where's that? Braddock Road. Right next
Oh,
to-
is it the elementary school?
yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right.
But no, Daniel had to go to speech therapy and everything because the other thing Daniel used to do is scream all the time. And I think it's because you, well,
Dude, just
no,
when you
no, I
said
think
it
it was,
just like carried on. Like
I think it was because you couldn't hear. And
I
so,
like-
well, that's a normal reaction. If you're saying something to someone and, and they're talking to you and you're going like, I see your lips are moving, but I don't, yeah. So
you have to speak louder.
Oh my God. Well,
yes, but anyway.
kid had the tubes
tubes?
too. I forget what she told me. She was like, do this. She was like, just in case, like, make sure you get this checked, because she had to deal with that with Oliver, who I think is just one.
Wow.
Wait, no. She had him like right before our wedding. So yeah, like just over one.
You know what, Tyler? You may be right, because I remember being at the pool putting those wax things in you guys' ears. Do you remember that, Daniel?
Hated it.
I hated them.
I know. Well, it was that or not swimming. That wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, I
Should
know.
told us not to go to the deep end.
It doesn't matter.
That's when it really hurt.
What?
Oh, when to go?
Yeah, of course it did.
Oh my God. Telling
That's
you,
when it
Growing up.
really hurt.
ear infections are horrible.
Yes, they're horrible and they're so painful. But
It's just weird for me to think about. Like, there was a point in my life where I couldn't really see or hear things. Like, it's just it's weird to think, like, yeah, no wonder I'm okay, like, being alone, and like sometimes, like, you know what, I want to see nobody. Like, yeah, that all checks out now. Like,
That's just a Copeland thing.
A
That's
male.
not-
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it is a Copeland thing.
That's
Yeah.
not. Yeah, no. You're
Except
I think it's
young to have
hereditary.
any real
We don't-
ramifications.
we don't actually know any female like blood Copelands.
There aren't any.
Yeah. Because they damn always have boys.
The strong genes, the strong German genes.
I mean, I'm trying to think, and I think that Raina has 3 sons as well.
Oh, really? I think you're right.
I think
2
like,
boys.
Raina has 3 sons. Like,
Come on, Harrington jeans. Give me a girl.
We are
One.
superior.
oh God. You know, the
Strong
funny
German genes.
is your sister who married a German also just had a boy.
Well, they're having a girl
They're
now.
having a girl though. So we have
Oh,
one girl, thank the Lord, in
There's a-
our family. It's like, at least you got one.
Oh, maybe the next one will be a girl, but don't get your hopes up.
Like Harrington jeans kick in the second one. We're like, you know what? You had your boy. We're fighting back.
That's right. That's right.
Not a chance. We would be victorious.
Oh,
your German accent.
Yeah. It's more Dutch.
questionable.
A bit. It's a bit Dutch. I'll give you
No.
Dutch.
It's more like Arnold Schwarzenegger, so I guess it's Austrian.
More
Yes.
like,
It's Austrian, yeah.
or Viking.
Yeah,
We
Arnold.
share a border. It's fine.
Oh my God.
All right, guys, this was fun.
Ask or your dad where the first blood Copeland female is in the line.
Glasgow.
We need to know.
Glasgow.
I mean, I think
Oh,
there
ask the
is
female.
one of Opa's cousins is female in Saarland.
I know, Eddie, you're gonna have to
Oh,
wait.
she needs to eat. She's
Come
hungry.
here.
Oh yeah. So
I think
that's
there's
why-
one in Saarland.
There are none, Case.
Wait, but Daniel, going back to your eyes for 1 second, did you have like perfect vision after that as a kid, or did you always need glasses?
Mom?
You
Oh.
always needed glasses.
Yeah,
And
But
Casey,
see, this is the problem, though. I mean, you would get your pediatric checkups and everything, and the little thing that they did for you. We didn't know you needed glasses till when did you get your first pair of glasses? First
think-
grade?
I think I was like 7 or something
I
like
think
that.
it was it kindergarten maybe?
I don't think so. I think it was.
I think it was first grade. First or second grade, yeah.
When did I get my contacts?
You used to get headaches all the time, and so your contacts or your glasses?
Well, I know my glasses lasted for about 2 weeks, and I was like, I'm never freaking doing this again.
But I think that was like high school.
I think it was middle school.
No, I think it was middle school.
It,
Yeah.
it probably was middle school, because that like it usually you look when you hit puberty, like things might change, and that's my eyes went in middle school.
But I do remember I needed the glasses before middle school.
You just didn't tell
I
me.
didn't tell anyone.
Oh no, I couldn't.
Yeah, but his prescription's so small, like he could probably be fine without them, but like it just wouldn't be great. Like he shouldn't drive without them, but like other than that, he's
Because
fine.
I could like see cars and everything, but I remember driving, well, I was in the passenger seat and dad going, read me the license plate in front of us. And I couldn't do it.
I still can't sometimes.
And he goes, yeah. all
Glare.
right."
I'm like, I don't know what that says.
He's like, yeah,
What's
you
that
need
gonna be?
glasses. And I would like argue with him, like, I don't need glasses. I'm fine.
It's like, and you can't see it. It's like, no, I can. I just don't wanna.
Yeah.
You tell me. That's usually your answer back.
Pretty much.
I mean, for me, it was like read the numbers across the baseball field.
Nothing.
I couldn't do that.
I couldn't read my French teacher's handwriting. I couldn't read what she wrote, and she called me out. That's how I found out.
Yeah, me too, Mom. You remember that?
She was like, "You're in the front row. How can you not read this?" And I'm like, "Clearly, because I need glasses. Let me figure it out. Like, why did you call me out in front of the whole class? That's cool." Like, she's like, "This is the easiest word to say," and I'm like, and once I knew what it was, I was like, "Oh yeah, that was easy." But and she wrote in cursive too, so I'm like, "You're killing me."
Mom writes in cursive. You love cursive.
I do. You all need to learn cursive.
Wait,
That's a lost art.
when was that? Was clearly was that a middle school thing?
What?
Or was that an elementary thing when you learned cursive?
Elementary.
You didn't learn cursive? I learned cursive elementary.
Well,
Elementary, yeah. That was like second, third grade. Remember you had to write in those lines, you had to practice your A's. And
Oops, and your
And you just-
circles.
and you kept it going, huh?
But
well, no,
wasn't
you had to write.
All
You
right.
had to write in cursive.
The
And
more
that
I
was
take notes-
penmanship. You guys probably didn't take penmanship.
I barely took English class, Mom.
I have to say, the more I take notes, though, the more I like write stuff down. I don't like L, like a lowercase L. I don't like it as just a line, so I have a cursive L there in the middle.
It's actually faster to write in cursive because your pen never leaves the paper, except for when you start a new word.
Did you ever learn shorthand?
Mhm.
Yeah. I did not, but
Everybody's made their own up.
helpful.
I did. And my mother was a great shorthand taker. She was like super fast.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she worked at the connecting place.
Let me show Casey the picture.
Yes, I love that you have
You know
pictures.
what this is, Casey?
Is that one of the operating for phone?
Yeah, it's a switchboard.
That's what they're called. I'm like, I don't know when you call operator.
Back in the olden days.
Yes.
But look at this poor woman's bangs. Isn't that horrible? Look, they're all the way up to here. Of
I
course,
mean-
that's what mine looked like too when I was starting, what did I say, 8th grade. Look at my bangs.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Mom, I'm not gonna lie. All of the hair in that picture is bad.
It's awful.
Really just the
It's
time.
horrible.
Yeah.
I mean,
Even
Laurel's hair-
Laurel's bangs.
Laurel's
My
hair,
mother,
it's like she got scissors and it was like, whoop, done.
my mother used to cut them. She was terrible at it. And I don't know why mine are all curly like that.
Because it
I
was
tell
the
you.
time. You had to curl.
As you can tell, I wasn't happy.
Yeah.
Oh, and I remember this. See that horrible bag?
Yeah.
That has a zodiac symbol on it.
Whoa.
Oh my God. That's incredible.
Jeez,
I
Mom.
forgot about that. Yeah, I was a Gemini.
Gemini.
Are you?
Yeah.
Woo. Wow.
I'm a Scorpio.
Split personality. Yeah.
I mean, it tracks for me.
You're
What?
Gemini. Wait, wouldn't you be considered Gemini too, Daniel?
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I do.
you're a Gemini.
I thought you said you were something else. I was like, I'm pretty sure it falls in the same. Except if you read like new stuff now, don't go into that. It's like crazy. They've moved everything around based
Yes.
on like God only knows what. I don't believe in
It's
it. though.
based on
Oh,
nothing.
really?
Because all of astrology is based on nothing.
It's not true.
They created a extra one. So they didn't make room for it.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
They created
not
an
based on
extra
anything.
zodiac
No.
symbol.
They created an extra
What's
zodiac
the
sign.
extra one?
I don't know.
Well,
That's why everyone got screwed up.
no, it's because they said like some moon cycle was wrong. And like, I don't know. There's some crap about that. And then
The cycle isn't wrong. It's not wrong. It's been tracked for millennia.
well, then it would be right.
It's been tracked like it has been for 4,000 years. We know the moon cycle.
Yeah, the Mayan calendar just ended.
Oh no, we're in trouble. We're in trouble
Screen.
now.
We're on borrowed time, guys. Make the most of it.
All right.
God damn it.
Oh my God. And so
Time
what
is
are we
over. They
doing
can do
next
whatever they
time?
want.
70 to 75, right? Okay.
I die.
Okay. Bye.
All right, guys. Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye, Dan.
Borrowed time.